Hi, my name is Charlotte, and in conjunction with Asiapac Books, please join me to discover the legacies of some of Singapore's most inspiring and interesting pioneers. Words like Eunos, Aljunied, and Whampoa brings to mind MRT stations and roads. But did you know these are names of important pioneers who helped build our nation? And to learn more about Mr. Sarangapani's work, we have the privilege of interviewing Mr. Krishnasamy, who is the ex-president and current advisor of the Singai Tamil Sangam, a non-profit organization which has been around since the 1940s. The organization works with the community to promote Tamil language, culture, heritage, and the arts. Originally known as the Tamils Reform Association, Mr. Sarangapani was one of the founders. Hello, Mr. Krishna.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to meet us. You have been the president of the Singai Tamil Sangam for many years and have seen its transformation.
I met him in Malaysia, in Ipoh, and I was a student activist in the Tamil community. He used to come to Singapore to Malaysia with delegation to celebrate the Tamil festival. And we being the ground crew for the Tamil festival in that place, we had acquaintance with him. He has never shown as being a leader. He mixes with the people. He allows us to do whatever activities we do and help us out in all the other activities we do. And that's it.
Okay. He also brought along copies of the Tamil Orasu, which he distributed. So the newspaper started in Singapore originally. So I understand the word Orasu means drum.
Even in India at the moment, even now, you will see that people to translate the activities of the government, they go to the villages with a drum.
Right.
And that is why he selected the drum. And the drum is, the sound is called Murasam in Tamil. Murasam.
Okay.
That's why he selected the drum.
Right.
Because it gives sound to people and makes the people to come and hear to what the message being given to the people.
Right. So it's really, really appropriate to me
Yes,
as such.
very appropriate.
He was also very dedicated when he started it. I read that he actually, with his supporters, went from door to door and sold it for 1 cent each. So another important thing that Mr. Sarangapani did was to start the Tamil Representative Council. Could you share more with us about that?
The Tamil Representative Council was formed in 1956 in the initiation of Sarangapani because he wanted to get all the Tamil organizations under one umbrella. And with that, he used that Tamil Representative Council to do the Tamil festival throughout the Singapore as well as Malaysia. From Singapore to Perlis, he took dignitaries to every country, every town of Malaysia, and had this function of Tamil festival to unite the Tamils together.
Right.
That's how the Tamil Representative Council. And in Singapore, the Tamil Representative Council became the voice of the Tamils because it brought all the Tamil under one umbrella. For it was easier for the government to work with Tamil Representative Council, being the spokesman for the Tamil community.
Right. So is the Tamil festival still being celebrated now?
That is the celebration. The Tamil festival is now named as Tamil Language Week.
Indeed, there are many tributes to Mrs. Sarangapani, including one from our former president, Mr. S. Aranathan. And if you'd like to find out more about his contributions to Singapore, you can make your way to the Indian Heritage Centre, where there are many photos of him, even one with our late Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. The next pioneer we will learn about is Mr. Albun Hall. He was one of the most generous men of his time and contributed billions of dollars to schools, charities, and the needy, not just in Singapore, but also countries in Southeast Asia and also China. Now, many of you would have heard of or even tried the yummy Shake Shack burgers. Just across the road is their latest outlet. But what has that got to do with Mr. Albun Hall? Now, take a look at that. Can you see it? The hexagonal pavilion? Yes, the roof was meant to represent a jar of tiger balm. And in fact, from the 1920s to the 1970s, the factory and headquarters of Tiger Balm was located right here. The name Bun Hall means cultured tiger, and indeed, he lived up to his name. He was a tenacious tiger of a man who created a fantastically wealthy and visually compelling empire. Born in 1882 in Rangoon, which is now Yangon in Myanmar. His father was a herbalist, and Bun Hall and his elder brother, Bun Po, grew up in a multicultural environment and could speak dialects like Hakka and Hokkien, and languages like Burmese and Hindi. When their father died, the young Au brothers took over the family business and improved on the formulation of a soothing ointment that his father had sold, and renamed it as Tiger Balm. Bun Po paid very close attention to the packaging to ensure that the product captured the consumer's eyes. He was really a man ahead of his time, the original hype beast. He even had a tiger-shaped car made from which he distributed posters of his products. Every event or opening of a new branch of his pharmacy, his very own tiger band would perform, and his staff would dress in tiger costumes, of course. Bun Hall also founded some newspapers in the early 1900s. The first was the Rangoon Daily in Burma, and then Sinju Jitpo in Singapore. Sinju Jitpo later merged with another newspaper and became what is now the main Chinese paper, Lianhe Zaobao. The newspapers were meant to be a powerful voice for the Chinese community, but Bun Hall also took the opportunity to advertise and promoted Tiger Balm extensively in the newspapers. Sinju Jitpo became so successful that it was also launched in Penang, Bangkok, and Hong Kong. Besides being the marketing whiz, Bun Hall was a great philanthropist. The Au brothers gave half of their company's profits to charity annually and donated more from their own pockets. They even bought coffins for the homeless who died on the streets. Now, another landmark which is associated with the Au family is the very interesting Hopper Villa in Pasir Panjang. And if you have not visited it before, you absolutely should, because there's nothing like that in the whole world. Built in the 1930s as a home for the Au brothers and also a public park. During that time, there was hardly any free recreational facilities for the public, so that was his contribution. Of course, the garden was an excellent place to promote Tiger Balm products. The next time you reach out for a jar of Tiger Balm for your aches and pains, remember the great man who started it all. The lovely mosque behind was built by Singapore's pioneering lady boss and philanthropist, Hajah Fatimah binte Sulaiman. She was born in 1754 to a well-known trading family in Malacca and eventually got married to a Bugis merchant prince. Now, a little sidetrack. Many of you would have been to Bugis Junction. But did you know the Bugis is a group of people who comes from the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia? Centuries ago, they used to own many ships and sail around the region to trade. There are still many Bugis people living in Singapore today, though not quite in Bugis Junction. Now, very unfortunately, Hajjah Fatima's husband passed away very soon after their marriage. However, the strong and clever young woman took over the husband's business and developed it successfully. With the ships that her husband owned, she expanded the business trading networks in the region, making a name for herself in a male-dominated sphere, a very rare feat, especially in those days. In the 1830s, her house, which was right here, was plundered and set on fire. Fortunately, she was abroad at the time. In gratitude to God, she decided to donate the land and sponsored the construction of the mosque, which was named after her. In 1973, it became one of our national monuments. Her generosity did not end with the establishment of the mosque. Deeply affected by the state of the poor in Singapore, she decided to build houses for them next to the mosque. Her efforts to raise the standard of living and improve the quality of life of the underprivileged make her one of Singapore's earliest women philanthropists. Hajjah Fatima passed away at a ripe old age of 98 and was buried behind the mosque she had built. Her charitable spirit was passed on to her daughter, Raja Siti, who often provided meals for the poor, right here at the mosque, in memory of her mother. For her pioneering and charitable spirit, Hajjah Fatima was inducted by the Singapore Council of Women's Organisation into the Singapore Women's Hall of Fame in 2005. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'm so glad to be able to share with you the legacies of some of our very inspiring pioneers. Generations of Singaporeans continue to stand on their shoulders. If you'd like to find out more about other pioneers, you can purchase this book at major bookshops. Stay safe, everyone, and happy reading!